Okay, let's get started. So welcome to our webinar, introducing ClubRunner Nova. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to be with us here today. I'm Halle Asterbadi. I'm co-founder and COO, and many of you have met me over the years from various PETS trainings until more recently in Melbourne, and of course the RI Assembly in Orlando last month. And my co-host today is Sarah Asterbadi, who is co-founder and CEO and is also my sister. And we're thrilled to share this exciting milestone in the product, share our vision of where we want to take ClubRunner, and what you as our valued user community can expect to see over the coming months and years and into the future. So this is going to be a little bit of our agenda today. So we want to make sure that, you're aware that we are going to be, speaking a little bit more about what brought us to this point, speak a little bit on our vision, and then also what some of our goals are, speak to the technology, and then we're going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek of the new version, and then tell you about how you can get involved with some next steps. So before we dive in, we want to take a minute and just give you a little bit of an idea of where ClubRunner started. Many of you may not know this, but the idea behind ClubRunner was initiated by our dad, Adel, who was back in 2003, District Internet Chair, as it was known back then, for District 7080. Our dad spent about 13 years working at IBM. He was a computer science graduate in 1970 when computer science was still a branch of electrical engineering. And he worked at IBM prior to starting his own software development company that did enterprise large-scale systems for the financial industry. And with our dad being the technological pioneer that he is, and being in Rotary, we grew up, being influenced by these two things. And we grew up in Rotary. We fondly remember volunteering at so many community fundraising events, hosting exchange students, volunteering at some of the club socials and so on. And so when Sarah and I graduated university in 2002, we did math and computer science. Of course, would you imagine anything else? We worked with our dad at the time, and that's when we launched ClubRunner as a product for the Rotary world. And what a journey it's been. Working side by side, we attended countless Rotary PETS, international conventions. Those are some of the fondest memories that we had, and meeting everybody face to face. We made some wonderful friends over the last 2 decades and are really grateful for your support. And of course, eventually we also became Rotarians and are both past club presidents and Paul Harris Fellows. And so we're so honored to have been part of this journey. So in fact, ClubRunner just celebrated 20 years this past year, and many of you may have remembered seeing us at the convention in Melbourne. And this is where I think we decided to really think about what we've done, ponder everything that we've done over the past 20 years and really think about what the future is really going to hold. And I wanted to also have a special mention regarding our team, and I want to recognize them. And when we first started, we had very humble beginnings, but now we're about 25 people strong. Over half of the team has been with ClubRunner for more than 10 years. Our development engineers and support team are all exclusive ClubRunner employees, many with long tenures and impressive backgrounds in technology. So where's ClubRunner today? It's in use in 77 countries, in 65 currencies and 29 languages and counting. And you may not know this, but ClubRunner was designed from day one to be fully multilingual and multi-currency. And we're continuing on this global footprint with more and more support for translations. And also want to give you a sense of the usage in ClubRunner and where it is today. So here are some stats that we wanted to share with you. The ones that are the most notable, of course. This is all, by the way, in the past year. So we sort of ran this from February 1st, 2023 to February 1st, 2024. But 37 million emails have been sent out 47,000 bulletins were published. One that I'm really, really proud of is the donations module, which was something that we developed very quickly. We pivoted on that during the pandemic when clubs couldn't have their fundraisers anymore. And, you know, once we launched that, so just in the past year, over 9,000 donations were made and $1.3 million were raised through the donations module. And of course, you can see the other statistics there on your screen. And so that's what brings us here today, where at ClubRunner, we serve 127 Rotary districts worldwide. We're a Rotary International licensee, and we're growing and highly rated and recognized on some of the software platforms, such as Capterra and Gartner. And all of this is thanks to you and your belief in us. So thank you for bringing us to where we are today.
So that brings us to our vision. Technology, as you guys know, moves at a very rapid pace, and much has changed in the software landscape over the past several years. And part of our commitment to the product and to our users, we have embarked on a significant reinvestment over the past few years in building this new version. So this was started several years ago. It's very foundational. It's a very dramatic change. A lot of it is under the hood, but it actually really allows us to do a lot of enhancements that might not have been possible on the older framework. So we port all over the user feedback. We actually, all the feedback that gets emailed to us, we read very, very carefully. And all the conversations that we've had, we've been tracking and we've analyzed it. And we've distilled the priorities and improvements that need to go into the new version. And ultimately, it's not really about change for the sake of change, but really we want to be mindful of our users so that we keep the things you love about ClubRunner, but improve the things that need to be changed. So this rehaul that we embarked on several years ago is to redo the architecture and the foundation of ClubRunner, which will let us take us to the next era. We leverage world-class industry standards when it comes to technology, and we'll elaborate on that later on. Best practices that we'll share as well. So the team has been working super hard to reimagine all the possibilities that are available to us and where the future will take us. So it's, all this under the hood work means now that we can really dream about where we can really take this in the future, and it will really help us expand the scope of the product to a much, much greater extent. So if we, there's three major pillars in terms of what does it take to succeed and thrive on ClubRunner. The vision for ClubRunner Nova is going to focus on three main areas that will help you thrive and maximize the impact. It starts with a very strong membership base, and that really means attracting new members as well as retaining existing members, and ensuring that growth of the club is what fuels the impact that you're making. In addition, we also want to deliver an exceptional and meaningful experience for everyone in your community, whether that's a member or a sponsor, a donor, other user, friend of the club, and so on. And lastly, and this is where we're going to see the most growth, is the exciting part is we really want to go beyond membership management and administration and really help you amplify your efforts and the impact of your reach in the community and help in achieving your goals. So we're going to see this new upgrade is going to let us really be able to roll out enhancements a lot easier in the future, and we can really expand the scope. So in terms of the first, it's just some examples of what does it mean to attract and retain. We all know that this is all based on feedback that we've received from you. This is certainly not new information, but I'm going to relate it in terms of what does it mean in terms of how ClubRunner can help. This is all, if you think of what is involved in attracting and retaining, it starts with a great brand to share all the great work that your club is doing. This is actually a good time to say that, your homepage should be targeting non-members. The homepage is not being built for the members, but the whole website module is part of that. But it also means capturing prospects, easily finding people who are interested, and as well as capturing member referrals, keeping track of them, and nurturing them over time to develop their interest. And this can be a long-term process. And for it to be sustainable, it has to be something the software can do in a way that you can set it and forget it. A lot of times people have this a very manual CRM database, and then they have good intentions at first, and they're nurturing all these prospects, but it's not sustainable, especially if you're volunteer-based. And then when we go to engaging and connecting, this is really about delivering a better membership experience. Whether it's someone who bought a ticket to an event, made a donation, or filled out an application form to get funding, what is their journey like? How are they interacting with your club? Is it painless? Are they facing obstacles? Is it, streamlined? And in addition to that, there's also ways we can help with member onboarding and integration. How are we integrating these new members and making sure they feel welcomed and onboarded, and with a series of touch points and especially personalized actions. So it's not one size fits all. And it could be something as simple as personalizing the experience. So currently in ClubRunner, when you log in, everybody sees the exact same admin page. So somebody who's new to Rotary can get overwhelmed by all the options that they see on ClubRunner. But ClubRunner Nova is going to deliver a different interface based on the role that you're playing. So if I'm just a new member and I don't have a leadership position in the club, I actually can see I will see a much more simplified version. So that helps make it less overwhelming. And then in terms of community reach, this is really all about reaching out outside, going beyond membership management into the reaching out into the extended community. And one of the big changes with regarding the person entity. So Halle will elaborate on that a little bit later when we're talking about product goals, but really finding an easy way to capture, nurture, segment, slice and dice all the people that are involved and who interact with your club. And really facilitating connections and how we can nurture and build that network, and what role ClubRunner can play in helping you do this. In terms of that vision, this really clarifies down to a few key product goals, which is the user experience. So that's really the part that's so visible. There's the under the hood stuff framework, but really ultimately what people see in the software is the user experience. And software looks very different now than it did 5 years ago. And there's a lot of user experience innovation in terms of how people want to behave with software to make it more intuitive. So we're revamping the user experience for ClubRunner to make it friendlier, but we also want it to look modern and easier to use and all that good stuff that modern software has. We also want to streamline data. So what I mean by that is, as ClubRunner has grown over the years, initially we had friends of the club, and then we added other users, and then we added the contacts module. Unfortunately, what that's created is these silos. And, sometimes, I remember getting asked the question, well, I just have a bunch of people that I want to add to invite them to an event. Where should I put them? And you shouldn't have to make that kind of decision. There should really just be one big list of all the people. And that's the approach we're taking with ClubRunner Nova. It's going to be a very streamlined, unified database that is actually segmented, and you can extract the data accordingly how you have it. So it really makes it a lot easier to add and deal with all these contacts. And the exciting part is it actually allows us to be very flexible and configurable. And this is actually, this is beyond custom fields. This is really all about modifying the behavior. As we start rolling out workflow and automation, you can actually adapt it to your unique needs of your club and district. So it's not what, the massive template that everybody shares. And that's something the new database structure allows us to offer. And of course, the mobile app, in terms of how people access software, mobile app has exceeded desktop. I'm sure that's not a surprise for most of you. So we're very committed to rolling out and continuing to enhance the mobile app to a much larger extent. It's going to be one of the many channels that people use ClubRunner on. And of course, performance and security cannot be ignored. Speed and reliability is very important, and security as well. So we have a lot of sensitive data that we want to protect, and there are some innovations that we can do to make your data more secure, but also we want the system to be reliable, and people want the pages to load fast, and they want to feel that it's always going to perform well. Okay. So in a nutshell, it's really time for modern software that's powerful but delightful to use. And this is the time for ClubRunner Nova. So we're super excited. This is a brand new version rolling out to Rotary clubs and districts in late 2024. But we're actually in a very kind of well underway in terms of the development phase. We can share more about where we are. There's actually already some versions of Member Nova in production. So this is not drawing board blueprint stage. It's actually being, in the final stages of development and going to be rolled out. Ultimately, our mission is to really help Rotary clubs and districts thrive with software that really empowers you. And this is really all based, thank you to on all the valuable feedback. This was not all developed in a vacuum in an ivory tower. This is really based on the feedback that we've received and carefully cataloged and sorted through over the last several years. Okay. So without any further ado, we're actually going to start. I'm sure everyone's here excited to actually see some real screens and some examples, and we're going to try to show you some, sneak peeks of what ClubRunner Nova is going to have.
All right. Thank you, Sarah, for setting the stage so well. And I apologize for me going off video. I think because we're sharing one speaker, I want to make sure Sarah was the focus when she was speaking. So the first thing we want to show you is what we are calling our universal login. And what you're seeing on your screen is really going to be the new way that you enter ClubRunner. And it's going to be a single point of entry for all users, whether you're on the club, district, zone, action group, whatever, Rotaract, whichever version you're on. You don't have to remember what your account ID is. You don't have to Google your club URL. You can just go in through one single portal. And this is going to, regardless of which account you're going into, as a single username and password across all accounts on a single login page. So super happy about that. So what that's going to look like is once you've entered your login name and password, it will then ask you to select which account you're looking to log into. And one of the things that we wanted to touch on is this is not just about changing the way that you're logging in. I'm really excited to announce tonight that we're going to be rolling out multi-factor authentication with our logins, which is really, really important for security. And you can, I'm sure undoubtedly you've noticed with more and more of the applications that you use in your daily lives, whether with, personal or work, they're all starting to, demand that you have, a text verification or email code or what have you. And as annoying as these things are, it's unfortunately become a reality of life that security is paramount. And this is, ClubRunner houses so much information that's vital and important, and we want to make sure that we're protecting that as much as possible. So the next screen we want to talk about is membership success. And this is something that I think only about probably 10% of our customer base, if at that, is taking advantage of. So this is available today, but it's something that I think is going to continue to be evolved as part of Nova. So this is where you have your new member forms or your inquiry forms, and you can track your prospects. You can design your own drip campaigns, track activities, and keep track of your notes. How we're going to evolve this is going to be really exciting. So it's not just about adding more data points, but it's going to be more of a seamless way that we can start to engage with these people and continue with their journey, and not have to necessarily write down the notes of what they did. So if they happen to make a donation or go to an event or fill out a different application form or anything like that, we're going to continue to build that profile and let you see that engagement and nurture them until they're ready to convert into a member. And so in this next screen here, what you can see is the analytics page, and all of our newer modules are starting to have these types of landing pages where we want to show you the data that is the most meaningful, that requires action, that lets you kind of kickstart whatever it is that you need to do depending on that module. And so, yeah, that's available today, and I think that that's something, if you're not using it today in your club, then I encourage you to use it. It's part of all of the club subscriptions. Donations is another great one. So we mentioned this earlier, that this was just rolled out, just a couple of years ago. And what you can do is create multiple donation campaigns. They're all available on your website. If anyone can go in and a member of the public or a member can go in and just make a donation, a general one, or one to a specific campaign. And then you'll be able to track donors, the statistics, get some great reports. And this is, again, part of that newer platform that we built on. So over time, we have been building newer features on Nova because then when we completely shift over to it, those are less modules that have to end up being rewritten. So those are what's out today, but what I'm going to show you next is, so then there's also the donation analytics page. So this is available today as part of your subscription. So you can see that that's very typical of how we want to display information very visually and give you the access points you need. So another Nova product, a Nova module, is events.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, if you have, just to say, if you can please, if you have questions related to the product or the presentation, to put it in the Q&A section if you see that. I'm trying to follow the chat, but it's kind of hard to extract the questions from there, so it might get lost. So if you want to, if you could kindly put your questions in the Q&A, but the chat can be like, we'd love to hear your feedback and thoughts in the chat. But if it's a kind of very targeted specific question, please put it in the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. So events. So this is what we call cloud events. So cloud events was sort of our way of sort of dropping the hint that this is actually part of the new framework. But this is where you can set up tickets, set up add-ons, products, product options, questions. You can have conditions on them. And really, it can tailor itself very well for whether you're having a conference or you're just selling tickets to a fundraiser. It's open to members as well as the public. Create landing pages and also, ask for donations at the time that somebody's registering. So again, this is all thanks to the feedback that we received over the years on our events module. And so we reimagined it as on the new framework. Okay, so now we're going to dive into some of the things that you don't have currently and that you can look forward to. And one of the concepts here is we want to introduce more dashboards, as I mentioned, earlier, that to give you that information at your fingertips and present insights to you that really resonate and give you that easy access point. So in this example, this is a financial report dashboard, and it's breaking down what are all of my membership type orders, what are all of my event orders, products, and donations, and then allow me to kind of click on any one of these and then see that detailed report. So I don't have to go digging for information or, run queries or, extract, download Excel files and have to, wrestle with Excel to try to get that information. And similarly, engagement reports are also going to be huge in Nova. And our vision for this is a more comprehensive and holistic way to track and measure engagement. So this is not about logging hours. This is about letting the system automatically track some of the things that are already happening elsewhere. So, the events that people are going to, whether they checked in or not, who did they bring in as guests? Did they fill out certain forms? Did they get to the website? Did they perform certain things like click on links on email? So really measuring that engagement level of not just members, but also non-members, which we'll talk about later. And again, putting that information at your fingertips, and then eventually getting to a place where we can automate on some of these things automatically. So you can, for example, somebody hasn't logged in like 90 days or hasn't gone to an event, and it will trigger something to say, hey, membership chair, this person hasn't come to an event or hasn't joined a meeting. Why don't you, reach out to them? Or maybe you want the email, the system to reach out with an email, but it's going to be all about personalization and allowing you to kind of do more with your data and have the system do more for you. And the really exciting thing is that we're not limited just to the data structures we have today. Once we're on Nova, we're going to be able to quickly deliver new modules. And, it's just, the opportunities are endless. And this is where we can really dream. I think this is where Sarah has, the biggest ideas around things like learning centers, a speaker directory, project showcase, even ways for members to connect with one another around skill sets or interest levels, or, whatever it is that they want to work on. And so that's the part that's going to get really exciting. And we need to get to Nova in order to start building these things, because this is all, what the future is about. And what I'm showing you here is a glimpse of what the new member profile and member listings are going to look like. So first of all, much more flexibility. I think we talked about that with the technology, and we'll touch on the technology in a sec. But it's not just about adding custom fields, it's about really enhancing that interconnectivity. So we talked earlier about people, joining an event or making a donation or what have you, and the system really putting those things together for you. You don't have to go and pull that data. You can see it all as a kind of a 360-degree view of that person. And then with member lists, introducing more search parameters, having things like bulk actions, being able to, do more with the data a lot faster. And you'll see why this is all going to be possible when we touch on the technology piece. But this is the part that we're really excited to share with you, because everything that I have shown you up until now has actually been used today by Rotary action groups and fellowships, who I'm really thrilled to announce have been using Nova for a couple of years now. In production, it's live. It's not just a mock-up. It is out and it's being used. So kudos to those Rotary action groups for being the first to be on this platform. But this is actually an administrator dashboard of one of the action groups that is using ClubRunner Nova. And this is how they go in and see all their upcoming renewals and their billing, and who's on which price plan. And they can drill down on that information and do whatever it is that they need to do. And that was also the project screen that we saw earlier. That was a real module that's in use today. So this is an example of an administrator dashboard, and this is a different dashboard for a member. And this is where we can start to change the landing page and change the experience depending on who you are. So this is the Fellowship of Rotarian PDGs and Friends. So if you're part of that fellowship, congratulations, you've already been using ClubRunner Nova. But we also want to highlight that one of the things is the possibility of customizing those landing pages, and really not overwhelming people with too many options. If you don't have access to it, it really shouldn't be there. It shouldn't just be grayed out. That's something that we're going to be, phasing out. So you'll see a very targeted screen based on who you are and your involvement with the organization, along with the analytics and the items and the quick links that you would need. So I think next what we want to do is just talk about a few other pieces that are slated to be enhanced. I think, Sarah, you can
yeah, so there are also like these kind of what I call quality of life enhancements that are really sort of enhancing the current capabilities of the system. So it's really there based on feedback. For example, we've got the email program. So this has been revamped. The new email is intended to be more streamlined, but there's also a more powerful recipient list. So now you can have suppression lists. You can add a lot, it was very popular to say, can we have CCs? So you can just add individual members when you're sending out an email. And of course, enhance templates and merge fields as well. And we also upgraded the editor. So, and this is whenever you're editing a story or any content that goes on the website or in an article or in the bulletin, that editor has actually been upgraded. So this new version actually lets you modify images on the fly. So before you had to sort of change the image first, but now you can actually, as you're uploading it, resize it, flip it, rotate it, crop it, and do some changes as well. And so, these are there's going to be this like flurry of changes across the board, all and really try to make it friendlier and more powerful. This brings us to our mobile app. The mobile app is going to be a major component of ClubRunner Nova, and there's going to be a lot of enhancements slated for that. And if you don't already have it, it's available to all club and district subscribers. If you don't have it, it's free. Download it and give it a try. There's already 25,000 devices currently on the app that are registered, so it's on the App Store. And in terms of what's new, we have push notifications. So that really lets you push a message out to everybody on the app. And this kind of comes out as a notification right away. And we've also recently added the ability to edit your profile, make a donation, as well as link to volunteer or register for an event. And there's going to be a lot more enhancements coming through for the mobile app as part of our omni-channel delivery of ClubRunner Nova. Which then brings us, let's talk about the technology a little bit. I know a lot of it can be under the hood, but it actually is super important when you use software, what the foundation and what is that technology that it's being used for that, because it has a huge impact on the speed and the performance, but also the capabilities of the system. And because software sort of is in a state of degradation, like, you know, whatever you write now is going to be unusable in 10 years. So if you know, if we don't keep upgrading and technology, eventually it just will not work anymore. But that's always been one of our passions. You know, Halle and I are software developers. Have always been a software company first, and we love using best of breed software to power our system. So whenever there's new technology, we're always keeping an eye on it. And there have been so many major technological advances that are available. One of them is if you're techie, is really NoSQL databases. Those are databases that are very loosely typed, and that is really what's going to allow us to introduce that flexibility and configuration. But really, it's really the sky's the limit when you think of what this new platform can do. It's entirely cloud-based on Microsoft Azure, and it's using the latest technology framework, which is .NET 8, Blazor, and it's serverless with unlimited scalability, which means that if there's a huge amount of traffic, it can scale up right away. We also use SendGrid for email deliverability, and that really lets you understand the full picture in terms of your emails. Deliverability opens, and of course we now have link tracking, so you can actually see who's reading your emails and what our articles are being, what is being clicked on and what people are responding to. And also Cloudflare is, through Cloudflare, we have traffic monitoring, filtering, and DDoS protection. So earlier on infographic, we said there was 2.7 million site visitors. It's actually closer to 3.5, but a lot of that traffic is noise. And unfortunately, if you don't filter it, it slows down your servers. So, you know, using that filtering really helps increase the speed of the software. And of course, monitoring makes sure that there's no suspicious activity that's slowing down the system or bogging down, shutting down your servers. And in terms of security, that has been, we've taken a really close look at security all along. And in fact, we've also done a major audit last year. And what that's done is with KPMG, and that's really allowed us to pinpoint, all the areas that we can make them more secure. And we're in really good shape, but it's really good to know that. But security is really important. Like, you know, there's so many ways that hackers can compromise the system. And because you've got personal data on the system, security is paramount. It could be something as really simple as URL manipulation, like where I can go and I can pretend to impersonate somebody else. But and cybersecurity is one of these things that's always changing. Like what was best practices 5 years ago has changed. The landscape changes. So it's kind of an ongoing process. And we're always keeping an eye on it.
That's right. And I mentioned this earlier, but what's worth mentioning again, that the multi-factor authentication for login is something that is coming very soon. So speaking of technology, we thought it would be also important to mention TrueSync and Rotary integration being two-way, and how ClubRunner shares Rotary International's philosophy of open choice. So every club or district has the right to choose whatever software solution they would like. And we really foster that that philosophy of having that mixed ecosystem. So when you're setting up RI integration for your club, you do have two vendors available. You have the primary, read and write vendor, and you have a read vendor, a read only. So what that means is that you can have a mixed bag of all kinds of systems that all the clubs are using, but we can still integrate the data. So it's not necessary to have everybody on the same system, or it's not necessary to say, hey, I have to use a certain system just because my zone's using it or my district's using it. But we're taking that philosophy one step further. And with Nova, we're going to have an open API and single sign-on. And what that means is now the sky's the limit. And you could log into ClubRunner and use that as a launching pad to go into any other software platform out there and really expand that mix for your members. Similarly, if you wanted to read any data that's on ClubRunner for your club or district, the open API allows you to do that. And I think this is what's going to open up a world of possibilities. And we're really excited about that.
Okay. So that brings us to kind of what's the plan. And there's a few things that are going to be happening over the course of this year in order for us to roll out ClubRunner Nova. So we're in the development stage right now, but I invite you please to share your feedback, even if it's just an email, but we are going to be having a survey at the conclusion of this webinar, and we'll have another one sent out. Feedback is crucial and will really help us while we're in this stage to shape this product and even going forward. And as well, I just want to mention that if you are in a Rotary Action Group or Fellowship, ClubRunner Nova is actually available for use in production right now. And then in a couple of months, we're going to embark on the integration and testing stage. And this is where the development has been finished, but we are making sure it works in conjunction with the data, because as you guys know, we can't just have you start over fresh on a new copy. People want all their data to be migrated. They want it. They want
and rightfully so.
Exactly, yeah. Of course, that's an entitlement, of course. So that's really what is going to be involved in the integration, which is really making it backwards compatible and making sure it's a seamless experience for everybody who is already on ClubRunner, because that's super important. We can't just ask you to do everything over again. I know you have tons of stories, and all that work. And the really exciting part is we're going to be releasing a Rotaract version, and that's going to be coming out in the spring. And we're super thrilled to do that. And actually, the Rotaract version is going to be released at no cost to all districts that are on ClubRunner. And so please take advantage of that if you have a Rotaract club in your area. They can actually start using Member Nova in a couple, as soon as the spring time coming through. And of course, this brings us to the beta stage. So this is where we've mentioned the champions group, and we're going to post a link later at the end of this webinar as to how you can be involved. We would love to have your involvement with the beta stage, where you will be given early access to ClubRunner Nova, and that will allow you to play with it. It's sort of in a sandbox environment, so that you can give us your feedback and determine if make sure it's working properly. And then the goal is to have it roll out in general, as a general release by November or December of this year. So it's going to be a very busy year, but it's a lot of stuff happening. It's a lot of integration, moving parts, and we're going to be keeping you very well informed. If you're on the beta group, we're going to have a lot more communication. So we're not going to, blast the whole population regularly, but we're going to have a lot more involvement and communication with the beta group and the champions, as well as in the community. So if you really want to be in the know, just join that list, and then we'll keep you up to date.
And we'll show you how to do that in a sec. But yeah, just wanted to mention, so in terms of the general release, we're not going to pull the rug out from under your feet. This is not going to be something that is going to happen overnight. You're going to log in, everything's going to change. This is going to be gradual. We're going to, ensure that there's proper training. But as we said, it's the underlying framework. It's the foundational changes, perhaps the navigation initially, even though you'll still be seeing the modules as as you see today. And then over time, those modules are slowly going to be enhanced and replaced with their newer versions, starting with the ones that are really the most outdated. So it's going to be a gradual process that's going to start in November, December, but it doesn't mean that that's the end of the line and you're going to have to switch over by that time. So speaking of next steps, we thought it'd be good before we wrapped up just to give you some of the resources that are available to you today. A lot of you are great at taking advantage of these. Maybe some of you aren't aware of all of these resources, so we thought it'd be great to share. So the first thing is, did you know that we regularly hold webinars and training sessions on how to use ClubRunner? So if you go to our website, clubrunner.com, and I believe it's under support, there's a webinars area, or you can scan the QR code that you see on your screen. You can join any of these webinars. They're all free of charge, and you know, they keep you up to date on what's happening. Also want to make a mention that we regularly hold what we call our changeover series every May. So this year is no different, and I call it like the boot camp of all things ClubRunner. And it's really great for if you're in a new officer position and you're going to have to start using a certain aspect of ClubRunner you've never used before. This is a great place to learn. And or if you just wanted to become like a ClubRunner expert, you could just spend all of your time there. And we do record them. So if you wanted to watch them at your leisure, I know I got a great tip from a district governor with like, I love the recorded webinars because I could pause them and then actually try it on my account at the same time and keep up. I know a lot of our support team they're so passionate, they speak very quickly, and this is a great way to keep up with it. And as Sarah said, there is going to be a survey that pops up on your screen at the end of this, but we are also going to be emailing everybody who registered with not just a link to the recording, but also a link to the survey. But also email us at any time, support@clubrunner.ca. That's the best way to get in touch with us. And we would love to hear your thoughts, big or small, minor, major, whatever it may be, you know, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And lastly, well, not really lastly, but almost lastly, is our champion and beta group. So this was available also on the email that went out, but if you missed it, if you do want to be part of that beta group, go ahead and sign up. clubrunner.com/Nova is also where you can find the link to this page. And this is where, as Sarah said, we're going to be sending out more frequent updates as they're happening. And you can be, you know, you can optionally choose to join focus groups, further training sessions, you know, and other sneak previews that are once we really start getting into, you know, in-depth sessions. So I highly encourage you to sign up to that. And, you know, really it's all about, we're really listening to, you know, what we're going to hear in this beta group. So if you want to make sure that, you know, you take part in molding where this product goes, I encourage you and I invite you to sign up to this. And the user community is something that we've had actually for several years that some of you may not be aware of, but this is where anyone who's using ClubRunner can log in with your ClubRunner credentials and really have discussions with other users. And this is, we watch this and we monitor it, and we also respond sometimes to things that are being asked. But we also encourage you to go there to also post feedback. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't just become a one-on-one conversation between you and us, but you know, other people can chime in, and we really like that kind of interaction between the users. And we're likely going to move some of the beta group discussions into this community. So, you know, you can check it out. And it's clubrunnercommunity.com. I just realized we didn't put that on the screen, so we'll make sure to fix that for future sessions. Support and training. We have a very, very in-depth knowledge base. This one is at clubrunnersupport.com, or you can just Google ClubRunner support and you'll get it. And we also have all the videos hosted there. You can see a screen up there of our changeover training. That's a little bit of a sneak preview. That's going to be a couple months from now, but you can watch last year's recordings. And, you know, you can also contact us. You can contact us through the support site or by calling us or emailing us. at the information that you see up on the screen here. Feel free to screenshot this. And, if we don't answer the call right away, do leave a voicemail. And, sometimes things get a little bit busier. We are expanding and hiring more to our team, but do reach out, and we'd be very happy to speak with you. So we wanted to end it. Go ahead.
Yeah, because this brings us to the conclusion of the presentation part. Before we proceed to the Q&A, I wanted to take this opportunity to just assure you that we remain committed as ever to being your partner and delivering the best software possible that will help your Rotary Club thrive, Rotary Club districts and zones, and of course backed with excellent customer service. So this is a priority for us, and that's why we're really excited about Nova. It's been taking years. It's a huge undertaking, but I think it's going to really change the future for ClubRunner, and it's going to let us start adding. There's going to be the future is super bright, and it's going to be really exciting, and I can't wait to see what the next year or two brings us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, and thanks for your taking the time to attend this webinar.
All right, so we'll move on to the Q&A portion.
So we have a huge amount of Q&A. There's about 270 questions. So unfortunately, we won't be able to address all of them in the next the time that we have allotted, but I will try to get through them. However, we will be sharing all the questions with everybody, and as well as a slide deck, so you won't miss anything. So we'll try to answer as much as we can now, but you will be getting all that information in a follow-up email from us. So in terms of, let's start with in terms of the transition, no, our goal is that your transition will be seamless. So this is going, as far as we're concerned so far, the plan is there should be no action taken on your part in order to transition to Nova. So that's really part of the whole rollout, which is why we're trying to make it, work with your current data and the migration. So that's really, this is why it's going to take a year to roll out to Rotary clubs versus making it available to Rotaract now, right? Because they don't have that legacy system. And then, so in terms of multilingual, will ClubRunner integrate, I'm going to answer that one from Raymond Chetty, integrate automated translations for members or allow members to view the website in their own language? Yes, you can have a multilingual version of the website. There's two types of multilingual, but you can actually interface with the product in a different language, but you can actually also have the website in 2 different languages and publish content in 2 different languages. So we'd be happy to send you more information about that if you reach out to our support team.
And I'll tackle this question here. So will the new version be costing more? No. So this is something that is a natural progression, a natural evolution of the software platform. This is why it's a subscription basis. And so no, this is not going to be something that will cause an increase in the price. We work very hard to keep our pricing as low as possible, and we limit our price increases to, I think it's about every 4 years on average. And so, the last one was about a year ago. So we don't envision this going to occur. So I wanted to address one question here about emailing. Will ClubRunner Nova allow us to email to Rotarians worldwide? So we touched on this with the community impact, but I think this is an important theme, which is right now, the way that it was designed initially, everything is kind of in silos, and you really can only see the information within your club, or maybe if you're a district officer, you'll see information in your within your district. We're starting to change that. As you noticed, the member search was something new that we rolled out to the mobile app a few months ago, which means you can search for anyone in the district and be able to find their profile. Of course, we have privacy settings, so you can still make sure that you can only expose the information that you want to expose. But this is the theme of what we're looking to do, is really create this kind of network to allow you to connect with each other, whether you want to search by interest level, skills. Somebody might say, look, I want to connect with people who want to help me with a certain project, or I need somebody with certain skills to put together a task force or what have you. And that's part of the exciting stuff that we really want to get to. So thank you for that question.
Another question from Mike is, will we have the ability to track volunteer criminal background checks? Yes, that's a very common feature, and that's slated in the roadmap. We can't say exactly when, but that's something we've heard before as well. It will be there. Another one is, and I actually saw a comment earlier about how the billing works. So with Nova, the billing is going to be very different. Yes, you will be able to have membership price plans, and there can be like monthly billing or annual billing. You set up the billing schedule that you have, and it can actually be a recurring charge on the credit card. So this is it's going to be entirely modern. You don't send invoices out. You just set it up, and then people renew their subscription that way. So that's the subscription management portion is slated as well on the roadmap.
There's a really good question from Kathy. Are donations available on the district site? I think, Zach, you'd probably be able to answer that better, but I believe they are.
Yes, so the donations module is available for all of our customers at all levels. So the zone, the district, and individual clubs. In addition, if we do have some clubs that, for example, are using our non-Rotary version of ClubRunner for like their foundation, like they need to have a public website for that, it's available to all customers on the entire platforms at all levels. The only minor catch is you do need a payment processing account connected, but that is the only extra catch for the donations module.
And there's a question from Cheryl about, will we have the ability to use our own credit card processor? We will be opening up the credit card processing to your other providers as well. So I believe PayPal and Stripe are already done. I don't know, Zach, maybe you can confirm. Is it? Yeah.
So yeah, PayPal is something that I think we're going to have some more information coming out in the next couple of weeks, but we do have a general goal of improving access and giving customers more choice in their payment providers. It doesn't mean you'll be able to choose specifically your local payment provider to you, for example, your local bank or financial institution, but we do want to give customers more choice. So in the US, we already have Paya available in addition to Bambora, and our current plan is to increase that by an additional 2 payment processors, which currently are Stripe and PayPal.
A lot of questions and great feedback about the donations module issuing tax receipts. So that's something that is on our roadmap, and we've received that a lot of times. So same thing with actually a lot of people have asked about drip campaigns, and I apologize for using jargon. Really what it is you know, having an automation set where you just have to define it once. So if you say, once somebody fills out this inquiry form on my website, I want to send this particular email to say thank you for your interest. You know, we invite you to come to our meeting, or one of our membership chair is going to give you a call. And then you can program it so that you could say a week later, send them our bulletin, and then 2 weeks later, send them an invitation to come out to a meeting, or maybe, you know, a certain event. So it's about not having to think about that and do it manually for every single inquiry, but just setting up that kind of campaign and having the system do that automation for you. And that's a little bit of like a building block, if you will, that's going to power a lot of the other functionality that we have.
And another question is, will there be sandbox set up for us to test the software? Yes, absolutely. So as part of the beta testing process, as soon as there's the ability to create that sandbox access, it will be shared with the beta group and the community at large. So you'll be able to go in there and play. And yeah, so maybe Halle, maybe you could set it up on the champion and beta slide, just so it's there. There's a QR code. So if you just scan that, it will actually take you immediately to the sign up form. And that's really going to be the best way to stay up to date and get updates from us.
Okay, great idea.
So we'll wrap it up. We've got 3 minutes left. So
Zach, do you have any questions that you felt that you wanted to raise, that you answered some good ones this evening?
I know we've had a couple offhanded questions about the mobile app, and I know you both of you kind of commented on it, and I think there's some interesting questions. Someone mentioned something about like, oh, the new universal login. That's great for me, who's an administrator, but for members, how does it really improve things? I would say, I think we talked about it, we touched on it a little bit. We're really going to be focusing on the member improvements on the mobile app, because we understand that most users have no interest in going to the club's website or the district's website and logging in and doing things. So pushing harder on making it easier for users, your end users, just as much as the administrators and the people we're talking to tonight. We've spent the last little bit focusing on administrators, but we're also really going to start to turn the table and really focus on our end users, because we want your club members and your district's club members to have an easy time doing the things that you need them to do, right? Like, as a very straightforward example, can be a pain to get people to just come in and recognize that their information is out of date and update it, which is why we now support the mobile app as part of this, allowing profile editing. And we're going to keep pushing on that to make the app more functional, so that your regular members hopefully have not less to do, but require a whole lot less effort and energy to interact with the club. So I guess I just want to say we're really pushing on the user experience. We want your members to have a joy using the software just as much as hopefully you enjoy using the software, or at the very least helps get done what is needed.
Yeah, and I think the goal really is, I think there was a question about, can we have access to the old version? We have, concerns about some of their members being used to the current version. So as we said, this is going to be, there's going to be a lot of lead time. There's going to be a lot of information, a lot of training, but it's also going to be seamless. And we really believe, and I think this is why we really would love for people to join the beta group, to get those early previews and have that, have that comfort level in knowing that it really is going to be seamless, easier to use. It's going to land them exactly where they need to. Everything's going to be right in front of them. They don't have to hunt through menus to find what they need. So we truly, that's our goal, is to make ClubRunner not require any training. So anyone can log in and find what they need and do what they need to do.
Great.
I also see there's a ton of absolutely fantastic feedback. And in fact, since we've started answering questions, we've actually received 60 more questions in the Q&A. And I know we had a lot of people asking. So I'm going to say I don't want to say every question, but the majority of questions that customers have asked, if there's any, we will have answers to them. It'll take us a couple of days, but we'll have those, and it'll be shared with our video when we do release it. So even if you didn't get your question answered today online right now, we will do our best to answer your questions in a big Q&A document. And if you guys had any really specific questions, a team member will reach out to you, because I already know I flagged a couple of those, and we made some notes that we want to reach out and make sure we get your guys' direct concerns addressed. They just weren't specifically applicable to the webinar.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Zach, for your help today. And thank you to everybody who tuned in. We are going to be emailing everyone a link to the recording, so you can share that with anyone that you know would like to see it, as well as follow up. Give us a little bit of time to follow up with answers to all the questions. I think at the peak, we had about 1,300 people join the webinar, which is fantastic. So of course, naturally, there's a lot of questions, a lot of chat, but our goal is to review that and give you as much information as possible over the coming weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.